Good, whew, there you go. Had to get all that out there. Good afternoon, or good evening, I should say, depending on where you are watching from. I want to thank you all for watching Mikasa Sukasa. I am your host, Niko House, and I hope you all have had a great day today. I had to bring you all this special report that a lot of people actually ended up missing. And the reason why people missed it was because, well, Now This has always, for those of you who don't know, Now This is kind of like a reporting, a news organization, and outside of politics, they actually do a pretty good job on reporting current events around the world. And, you know, during the election, they actually weren't that bad either. Excuse me, because they did a very good job of covering the primaries and showing how Bernie Sanders was doing just much better than what they were trying to claim he was, he had been doing. And so I kind of grew fond of Now This before, this is a big ass caveat, before the whole establishment reach started, before they jumped on the Trump train, because they realized very quickly that it was very profitable. And it is, like, it's clickbait city, which, it is what it is at that point. We've kind of come to expect it now. But nonetheless, Now This has actually gotten progressively worse with how they've been reporting the news, and it's actually gotten to the point where it's become blatant lying, believe it or not. A lot of people who are on Facebook often have probably called this a lot, but maybe people who are on YouTube have not seen it as much, because Now This Politics, there is no Now This Politics channel on YouTube. It's just Now This and Now This World. But in a recent clip that Now This finally aired on Facebook on January the 6th, but had actually been originally recorded on November the 21st, 2017. But of course, it was like got 3,000 views because, like I said, on Now This on YouTube, they don't have that many supporters, so nobody saw it. But of course, it was strategically placed as the announcement for the FBI investigation started. And I'm gonna play the 1 minute of just the. It makes you want to throw up in your mouth. It's that bad. I'm just gonna here we go.
Executed. This Uranium One story, reporter after reporter, fact-check organizations say it is a non-story. How do you respond to the latest news, and how does the media cover, not make the same mistake as 2016, and cover a pseudo scandal without amplifying it?
I'm really glad you asked the second question, because it's not only that it's been debunked repeatedly by independent observers, journalists, experts of all kinds.
The accusation is predicated on the charge that Secretary Clinton approved the sale. She did not.
I just believe so strongly that that's not what a president and an attorney general should do. Because in so many countries, a political opponent is prosecuted, is exiled, maybe even executed. And that's not who we are as Americans. So this is not just about me. I know it's a big diversion. They want to take attention off the Russian investigation because every day something comes out about it. But this is about degrading our justice system, about using the Department of Justice for political purposes. So if we get into this unfortunate abuse of power, I hope the press sees it for what it is and covers it the way it should be covered, as a breach of the duty of the people charged with enforcing and executing our laws, and a move away from us being a nation of laws toward a nation of men with police.
What in the actual hell? Did you all watch the same video that I just watched? Did you hear the statements? And what makes it worse? Here's what makes it worse. What makes it worse is that they pretty much set her up to respond like that. They brought her on to this platform just to have this conversation, just so she can laugh in everyone's face. Laugh in everybody's face about how she's about to get whoever believes her, that she's playing them. There's no way. No, I'm not going to say there's no way that people are that ignorant, because they are. They are. But there's no way that anybody with any sense, including hopefully prosecutorial officials like, judges and things like that, and investigators and FBI agents who clearly don't believe her because they've been trying to investigate her for quite some time. Now, there's a few things about that I want to talk about. I don't even want to get into the whole video because it would probably make y'all more pissed. But I'm just going to talk about some of the important things. So first, let's go ahead and talk about the first claim that Now This makes. The first thing they say is that fact-check organizations and other independent news sources and media outlets say that the Uranium One deal was a non-story. That is absolutely untrue. It is so untrue to the extent that even Cenk from the Young Turks, when the initial Huffington Post story released, said this looks bad. This looks really bad. She could be in a lot of trouble. And he even said, this is Cenk, who has been defending Hillary, especially in the face in regards to Donald Trump, has been defending this woman night in and night out as of late. Got a little money from the Clinton camp. But even he says that, yeah, you clearly exploited some loopholes. You had a couple of other people sign the paperwork, but let's not be ignorant and pretend like you don't know what goes on in your State Department. To say that she didn't sign off, she didn't sign off on it. Guess what? When it comes to breaking the law, if you could have reasonably known, it's like being an acquaintance, being in a car with someone, if they have weed on them and the car smells, it's reeking of weed, and they find an ounce of weed, and the driver, it's maybe on the driver's side, and maybe the driver is found guilty, but there's a good possibility that depending on how much weed is in that car, you can be considered an accomplice to the crime, because you could have reasonably known that there was weed in the car. And it's up to you to defend yourself as to how you could not have known that it was that much. But at the very bare minimum, people, it is clear that there is enough evidence to investigate. And it was so clear that even Cenk from the Young Turks had to do it. He was upset about it the whole time. And even he said, hey, man, look, this looks bad. This looks bad. It looks unethical. It looks wrong. Even despite the fact that Trump, he hates Trump. He did an okay coverage of that. Okay, very par for the course, I guess, or better than par for the course for the Young Turks as of late. But that's not even the only. Let's forget about this year. 2017, late 2017, I should even say. Let's talk about before that. Let's talk about the first article that was actually released that never really gets credit about a lot of this stuff, dealing with the Uranium One deal. Remember when New York Times used to do journalism? I remember. So that was the article that broke the mold, because it exposed Hillary Clinton, and it was actually before the general elections, before the primary elections, before she had announced that she was running for office. So there was actually when this story first broke with all of the details, more details than what you've actually seen in a lot of the articles that have been coming out trying to kind of water it down and make it not as serious as it really is, and it still should be treated. There was no political agenda at hand. This was an Obama administration with the James Comey, who clearly has no backbone and has no intention on enforcing the law, nor giving anyone the opportunity to enforce the law. These are clearly people who had no intention on seeing Hillary Clinton prosecuted and probably didn't think that she could be prosecuted. When they reported this story originally in the New York Times, all the media outlets say that, this is a non-story. If you are a media outlet and you are claiming that this is indeed a non-story, you are irresponsible. You clearly have an agenda, or you're really that ignorant. Which now this really might be that ignorant. It's crazy because I feel like they always get this guy to like ride her coattails, but the New York Times reported on this long before any of us even knew Hillary Clinton was running. So it was clear that there was no political agenda involved. It was reporting a story that needed to be taken seriously at the time, but was not, because we were not as politically aware and politically awake as we are currently. But they're going to make the false claim that all of the stories as of late say that this is a nothing burger. I'm going to tell you like this. First of all, not all of the media outlets claim that. That's one. Huffington Post, like I said, if you read that initial story, there was nothing exonerating about that story. They were like, yo, we really didn't want to write this, and we're trying to make this as nice as possible, but it looks like you're guilty. So, and then they say the major fact-check organizations. That's what he says. All the major fact-check organizations say this is nothing. All the major fact-check organizations that literally all belong to the establishment, that all belong to David Brock, PolitiFact, and oh man, what's the other one? Oh, Snopes, and all of them that have over the last year, I guess 2 years now, have been proven to work for the establishment. These are the same people who are trying to claim that Hillary Clinton was being honest during the debates and that Bernie would lie about certain things, and that wasn't true. They claim that Trump lied about everything during the debates, which is kind of true. But then it was, they just clearly aligned with the establishment candidates and with establishment facts and how they want us to perceive the facts to be. Mind you, Snopes did not actually release their fact check about the uranium. First, they released an initial one during the election that said it was mostly true. They deleted that one. They released another one recently that said it's totally false. What's false about it? The only thing that you can claim is not 100% true is that she signed the paperwork directly. But once again, if you've ever been in charge of an office, if you've ever been in charge of a government office, if you've ever been in charge of anything, do you allow major deals to be to take place under your nose without knowing about it? And do you not go if something like that happened where you could be perceived as giving quid pro quo favoritism towards a country that apparently an enemy country, that we just found this out this election apparently, so they're our enemy now. If someone could perceive your behavior or that transaction as that, wouldn't you as a leader immediately approach the media? One, approach the media and say, this was never our intention, and I will do my best to reconcile this issue. And on the back end of that, Bill, stay your ass out of Russia. Don't take that money because it makes me look suspect. Like, it happened right after the other. The quid pro quo, the uranium transactions, and how, and then it moved, and then it went through a company, and then they went through the Clinton Foundation. Went through the company. Then it was approved. The transaction was approved by the State Department, even though she didn't sign the paper herself, although they probably used her stamp of approval. And on top of, and then next, Clinton Foundation in Russia, Bill gives speech, yay, 500,000, like that. So we're just expected to believe that this is the one thing that's a nothing burger, because all the establishment fact check websites say that it's nothing. And recently, now all those, because remember before, because here's what they do. They do the same thing. First, they refuse to talk about it. They ignore it. They pretend it didn't happen. Then it gets reported, and then they try to say, oh, it's wrong, you got it wrong, everybody has it wrong, and then they ridicule. This is just a distraction from Trump's Russia investigation. And then for those of you who are hopefully watching for the first time, and I welcome you, because this is going to be hard on you, you find out, oh, what a surprise. This is actually the Russia investigation that should have been taking place. One of them, not even including the Jewel investigation between John and Tony Podesta, with owning almost half of a damn energy company in Russia that is Kremlin backed. That is what the actual Russia story is. This is a fact. These are facts that were known before the Russia investigation for Trump got out. But as these facts became more and more and more and more amplified, and then they had a scapegoat, they need for international reasons, the United States is beefing with Russia. So this is a perfect opportunity. They can distract from their own actions. They can make Trump look bad and make him look like he's treasonous, and make every Republican any person who ever defended Trump, make them look like they're a Russian spy. Now, this I don't call him that. He's probably a nice guy, maybe. I don't know. But he says, how does the media not make the same mistake and while covering this pseudo scandal? Sir, no. Double back, triple back, quadruple back. Bro, there's no such thing as a pseudo scandal when you're the Secretary of State involved in a uranium transaction. By the way, I don't know if he knows this. Uranium's the stuff they use to make nuclear weapons. I'm just letting you know. I don't know if you know that, but that's that stuff they use to make nuclear weapons. The stuff that we are like going balls to the wall about when it comes to Kim Jong-un, because he might have one nuclear weapon. Remember, like, nuclear war with him because of one nuclear weapon. We sold 20% of our uranium, the nuclear stuff, to the second most powerful military in the country, or in the world, excuse me. Someone who was on the Security Council for good reason, because they can provide security, if you catch my drift. And then she was running for president, claiming that Trump was the one. And then, mind you, husband got $500,000. And then claiming that Trump was the one who is working side by side with Russia, hand in hand with Russia. Now, not only is a scandal, period. But if there ever was something to be considered a scandal, when you are the head of a department that approved a transaction that involves nuclear stuff to a country that already has a lot of nuclear stuff that we are going to go to war with using nuclear stuff not that long ago, that supposedly we are enemies with right now, and then your husband takes $500,000 while you were the head of the department that approved the shit. How is that a pseudo scandal? And why are you trying to frame it as that? Pseudo scandal isn't even a real word. You just made that up. You can't just put pseudo wherever the hell you want to and make it work. Why do you think that pseudo has never been attached to scandal before? Because no goddamn such thing as a partial scandal. There's no pseudo scandal. It's like kind of having sex. You either had sex or you didn't have sex. Like, you can't partially have sex. It's like you kind of got married. You either got married or you didn't get married. You can't get pseudo married. Hold up. I don't know. Can you do that now? There's a lot of changes to the marital institutions. So I don't want to say that and get somebody pissed off. And somebody's like, you're not respecting my pseudo marital institution. But to my knowledge, anyway, you can't get pseudo married. It's the stupidest shit I ever heard. Pseudo scandal. Boy, you pseudo ugly. You're pseudo stupid and you're pseudo ignorant. Pseudo. Boy, let me find this guy. But nah, seriously. It's if you could tell by the video that the guy was like literally trying to lob her alley-oops. And it's disgusting that even Hillary Clinton, because you know, I tell you, she's a sociopath, and people are like, you can't throw that around so loosely. You know, there are people who are really dealing with it. Like, no, I'm not throwing it around loosely. Hillary Clinton's a sociopath. It's not an exaggeration. This isn't like oh, wow, you're being mean to her type of situation. This is Hillary Clinton's a sociopath, and it should be taken very seriously because she was trying to be in charge of the country. And when this was published, as you can see here, I told you on Facebook it was January the 6th. On here it was November the 21st. This is when she was still being considered as a viable candidate for 2020. So it's strategic. What pisses me off, though, is the fact that even Hillary Clinton, and all of her sociopathicness, says it has been debunked. It's been debunked. How? The only way that I have ever seen it debunked. It's crazy that the shit that happens with Hillary Clinton that gets debunked. It never is actually debunked. And she never even elaborates on how it's debunked. Maybe because she's under investigation and she don't want to incriminate herself. But it's not been debunked. Okay? It's not. It just hasn't. It's not been debunked. In fact, it's kind of looking bad for her. If we're going to be honest. So what kind of puts it over the top for me was when she started saying, because it's the fear-mongering. I hate it. I despise it. The fear-mongering. Well, you know what happens in other countries when politicians don't like their political opponents. They jail them. They execute them. Ain't nobody executing you. Stop. It's called gaslighting, by the way. But you know, you ever get into an argument with your significant other, and y'all are arguing over God. I don't want to say where y'all want to eat because I feel like that could cause a divorce on my live stream. I don't want to put a wrench in nobody's relationship. Let's just say y'all arguing over what color furniture I want to get or what type of furniture you want in your living room. And she's like, I want the red couch. And you're like, well, I want the brown couch. And she's like, well, I want the red couch. And you're like, well, I want the brown couch. And she's like, you always do this. Remember that one time where you smacked the dog because he didn't like the food that you picked out for him? This is just like that time. It's like, wait a minute. How is this even close? This isn't the same thing. Let me tell you precisely why. I mean, I'm going to go into the other country stuff, but precisely why. The FBI initiated this investigation, ma'am, over a year ago, which when this video got released, we only had a hunch that they had started kind of investigating or at least inquiring into what had been going on. But this investigation into the Uranium One, the investigation into the quid pro quo investigation into the Clinton Foundation, all that stuff had started a year ago, over a year ago. It had already started. Andrew McCabe, we come to find out, tried to prevent it. Jeff Sessions, we also came to find out in the Justice Department, which is ironic because she said that the Justice Department is being used against her. The Justice Department tried to save her. They tried to obstruct justice. But the FBI agents, the investigation is being headed by Little Rock, the Little Rock FBI. And it had been started. Trump didn't initiate that. Trump never even talked about it before the story came back out. That wasn't Trump. Trump didn't arrest you as soon as he won elected office. Because that's what happens in other countries. They win, they arrest you because you are a perceived threat. Trump doesn't see you as a threat. He demolished you. You're important in the sense that you can make him look better if he does his job and upholds the rule of law and makes sure that you are prosecuted to the fullest extent, which I hope that he is extremely successful at. But doesn't mean he's threatened by you. It means it's one of his I don't want to say ad hominem, like his like personal promises, the feel good promises he made, and he wants to see it through. But it wasn't Trump, on record, to our knowledge, who initiated it. Just like it wasn't Obama who initiated your email investigation. Speaking of the damn email investigation, notice how in the going back to the pseudo scandal shit, in the pseudo scandal comment, he said another pseudo scandal, as in he is implying that the email investigation, literally violating every law. And James Comey said under oath she did violate laws, but she didn't intend to. So we're not going to recommend charges. That wasn't pseudo. Even James Comey said, the bitch broke some laws. She broke some laws, yo. Like, I'm not going to be the one to prosecute her because I don't want to accidentally, purposely commit suicide right before I testify. Not me, sorry. But, hey, pseudo scandals, pseudo marriage, pseudo dead. You ever been pseudo dead? I'm throwing pseudo on everything. Everything now. I'm going to take a pseudo shower tonight. I'm just kidding. I'm going to be pseudo clean. But, and this is my final point about this particular subject is that she two. One, where she literally orders the media and says, I want the media to present this as a breach of duty to the people, a breach of duty of the people in charge of executing our laws. But what James Comey did by not recommending the charges to indict you because of your intent to break the law or lack of thereof was not a breach of duty. You didn't lambast James Comey until you thought he caused your election. You were in charge of executing laws at one point. Not literally, but like when I say in charge of, I mean she was in a position of power, a public office and political power. Took total advantage of it. She set up a whole server. She got spies killed because she was using their names while they were overseas undercover because she didn't secure her emails. Total incompetence. But then she says we're moving away from being a nation of laws, and that's even crazier. She is making the argument that if you use your power to prosecute people who, like, we have laws in place specifically for her situations because we don't want them to happen. We don't want you using your nonprofit, your off. I said this morning. I think I said it this morning. I don't know. The days kind of blend together. But I said it this morning, I think, that if you are mad that Trump is potentially using his family in conjunction with his political office to gain profit, you should absolutely be mad. You are right. You're totally correct in that. However, caveat, you better be just as damn mad that the Clinton Global Initiative expanded and raised the most money that it had ever raised while Hillary Clinton was in office. I'm not talking about locally. I'm talking about internationally. A lot of trading going on there, cool people. All of a sudden, some things land in your country after you donate some money. You get a certain political office, you donate to my foundation. You had your daughter still in charge. She was still running the show. And y'all complain about Trump's kids running his business. What do you think the Clinton Foundation is? It is a 501c3, if I'm not mistaken, with ability to raise unlimited amounts of money. It's what you would call a business. It is subject to the same corporate fiduciary duties as any other incorporated entity. As in, it can break those same laws. But you don't hear anybody complaining about that, do you? Nope. Those same people, Trump is violating our institutions. He's not keeping the political office and the business world separate. I totally agree with you. But what about Hillary? People always say, well, why do we always go right back to Hillary? Why can't we focus on Trump? No. I can focus on Trump. But the standard has been set. The playbook has been set by Hillary. And if we do not hold one entity accountable merely because you ideologically agree with them, and if you ideologically agree with, align with Hillary, then that's a problem that I can't help you with. Hopefully I can if you watch some of my videos, but I can't help you with that. Like, you shouldn't. But in your mind you do, because she's a Democrat and she's a woman. But if you believe that one person should be prosecuted because they're a Republican and the other one should not be prosecuted because she's a Democrat, then that is exactly what Hillary Clinton describes in her little monologue, a little soliloquy about what about the trying to describe the banana republic in other countries, because that is a banana republic. They're not on our side, let's prosecute them. That is what we are dealing with. Their side didn't win, so they want to prosecute him and send him to jail and call him treasonous. Everything she accuses Trump and accused Trump of, she never accuses him of the substantive stuff, the stuff that needs to be talked about. She wants to accuse him of the things that she needs to have the crowd distracted from, because she is personally involved in doing the very things that she's always claimed that Trump and his administration have done. Trump's sons execute a lot of his political and business duties, even though they're not supposed to be doing so. What do you think that Chelsea Clinton did? That's what she was known for. Hell, she won an award for it. She won an award for it. The hypocrisy knows no end, right? But with that being said, give me about a 5-minute break. I'm going to finish the report for the night. In the meantime, make sure you like and share. Join that $1 Follow $1 campaign. Drop a super chat if you have your account linked to YouTube. Some people don't, apparently. But if you can, if it's easy for you to drop a super chat, do that. If it's easy for you to join the $1 Follow $1 campaign, do so. Take a 5-minute break, and we're going to finish this evening's reports. And always remember, ladies and gentlemen, find your balance. Peace.